My name is Allison Forsyth, which you see on the screen. I am, how do I explain this? I am a fierce advocate for safe sport and culture within the Canadian sports system. I am a two-time Olympian, so I did pretty good in sport, or so I've been told. But no, I did pretty well in sport. I'm a two-time Olympian in the sport of alpine skiing. So completely different than what you do. And right now you might be thinking, well, how does she know artistic swimming? The good news is what I focus on in the work that I do alongside Inclusion Incorporated, where their work is awesome work around diversity, equity, and inclusion in sport. My main focus with my company, Generation Safe, is around keeping you athletes safe in sport, which is that we all swim together. Yes, that pun is funny, in the pool and outside of the pool, that we treat each other, as I'll get into, the way that we would want to be treated, and that you are treated and supported in this beautiful ecosystem of artistic swimming as human beings first and athletes second. So, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to share with you because I believe, and I know our team here with Artistic Swimming believes, that it is very important that you understand how we have also communicated this program to your coaches and your administration. And by administration, we mean the folks that are within your club that, are sending the emails to your parents or running the club. There's a lot of work there, by the way, that I know that I as an athlete didn't appreciate enough. But I want to share with you what we have shared with them, what this program means to them, and also what it means to you. Now, before I do this, I want to welcome Steve Wallace, our head honcho, as I call him, at Canadian Artistic Swimming, to share a few words to the athletes that are here tonight.
And so it really was to address, as you know, bullying continues to be a significant challenge in the lives of Canadian youth, both in their daily life and as well in sport. And so we focused in on those types of insights that 71% of Canadian youth aged 12 to 17 have reported experiencing some form of bullying in the past year. And in North America, 7 out of 10 youth quit organized sport by 13, and that's due primarily to the pressure to perform and the negative competitive culture. And so we don't want either one of these things to happen in our sport. One of some of the insights that we saw was that while 72% of athletes feel welcome in the sport, and that 68% say that there's an acceptable level of respect, the concern is that a third feel that peer-to-peer interpersonal conflicts that could lead to bullying is an issue, and a quarter felt that bullying is an issue in artistic swimming. And so it really is on that interpersonal peer-to-peer conflicts that would lead to bullying that we wanted to focus in on as an insight. But this is not just an anti-bullying type program. This is not that way. That was the insight that came out.
I'm going to move on because I've shared about how we treat each other, work together, swim together. We will thrive. I promise you. And I work with a lot of athletes across the country. So now I want to share with you what tools we have developed. And again, as I shared at the top of the call, this information is for you to understand how we're all working together and swimming together to bring this program alive. This information is about your administrators in your clubs, your coaches, and you all committing to this program. So I want you to know what we talk to the coaches and administrators about so that you can hold them accountable, right? We are empowering you to hold your clubs accountable to implementing and thriving within this program. So the key elements of the program, as I've already talked to you a bit about tonight, is really encouraging to create positive, inclusive environments by being good teammates, respecting each other's differences, and standing up for each other when it matters. Okay? You all will come to the pool every day with different personalities, with different ethnicities, with different ways that you want to wear your hair. And with my son Riker, who's 14 years old, he wears his hair like a hockey player, and you already know what that looks like. It's flowing, there's things happening. He blow dries it under his hat. There's nothing wrong with that as long as he is choosing to wear his hair like that and not feeling that he has to in order to fit in with a group. Okay, so just think about that. You deserve to belong, which is very different than fitting in. Fitting in is when you feel like you have to change something about who you are in your soul and in your core in order to please others. For coaches, a big thing with coaches is boundaries. And parents or caregivers listening, I'm always very direct when I work with parents. And I also we have a tool for our coaches to use to create really positive relationships with you. And I think that's super awesome because oftentimes in sport, we get mixed and we get mingled and we're calling each other at all hours. And so it's just about setting the boundaries of how our coaches and our parents work together and thrive within the culture of Canadian artistic swimming. Conflict resolution, really about how do we deal when the bad things happen? How do we confront what is happening right away through collaboration and mutual respect? And how do we ensure that things don't elevate, which I'm going to get through next? And then for your club administrators, how do we set the program up for success? So I'm not going to go through these. You will have this information. Parents, if you're listening, it is live right now on the Canadian Artistic Swimming website. We will have a link coming up, but this is out there. And the purpose of tonight is to enroll people to understand. So here we have the establishing boundaries, how we create supportive caregiver relationships. You know, when it comes to meetings, okay, parents listening and athletes, I need you to hear this part. So I'm hugely passionate about setting parent and caregiver meetings up for success. It seems like, oh, it's just a meeting. But my experience in my kids' chosen sport, which is hockey, is that as a parent, I often walk into these meetings, there's no agenda. I'm put in a dressing room, which is a confined space. I'm not consistent. They're not consistently communicating with me. So there's a whole section here about how coaches can set up positive meetings with parents consistently and proactively. There it is. Budgets, codes of conduct, expectations of behavior, office hours, which is really how and when parents and coaches should interact with each other in a professional way. It's probably not at 11 p.m. at night, etc. Okay, we're going to move through this pretty quickly and get to the real athlete stuff. So this one's about navigating conflict. This is to support you as athletes with your coaches and your club administrators to know how to deal with an issue when it comes up, how to make you feel safe, how to make you feel heard, and how we work through conflict in a positive, proactive way as opposed to some of the bad stuff. This is a resource for all of you athletes, and I've spoken a lot about it already in the way that I do, which is the passionate Allison just coming at you. But just know that you have this. And I think I've covered most of it about respecting each other. Embrace and acknowledge and just know that we will not all look the same or talk the same or be into the same books or movies or podcasts or TikTok accounts. That's just life. Much like school, you may not and probably do not get to choose who you're on the team with, but that's just life. Okay. So we really come from a place of kindness, respect, and lifting each other up as opposed to pulling each other down when we feel that jealousy or that competitive instinct kick in. The last thing I'll share on this is be a good ally. You have opportunities with your coaches. Heck, you can come to me. You can come to your club. Just know that when you see, so critical, when you see or feel that something is off, you have a right to stand up and say something about it and be protected in that process. Jessica's here with us tonight from our board. How exciting. Jessica, I'd love to welcome you to say a few words about the We All Swim Together with our athletes.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here. I'm joining you from Toronto, the traditional territory of several Indigenous peoples, including Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And I just want to take a quick moment here to say thank you to Generation Safe and Inclusion Incorporated for their incredible work on the We All Swim Together program. And thank the entire artistic swimming community for welcoming this important initiative. It is so energizing to see everything coming together to create a culture of inclusivity, respect, and safety in our sport. I had the opportunity to see the program previewed at our national conference in September, and I was immediately impressed with the thoughtfulness and comprehensive approach. The resources, tools, and education in this program will definitely help our athletes, coaches, and parents and clubs tackle the challenges to build a stronger, healthier, and healthier relationships across our community. On behalf of the Canada Artistic Swimming Board of Directors, we fully support this program. We're excited to see positive changes that it will bring, and we're on a path to creating a more supportive and inclusive environment for everyone. And this program will play a key role in shaping that future. So just wanted to be quick there. I'll turn it back to Allison, and we can talk about how we're going to bring this program to life.
So I have this quote because I think it's really important for you to not look at how you have behaved um, and feel bad about that, but instead know that when we learn and we have a growth mindset and that we understand the way we need to treat each other in sport and the way we deserve to be treated, once we know better, we do better. Because at the heart of everything is you as human beings. And as I said again, I'm just pointing out one example, I do it all the time, to the best soccer players in the world, I said directly to them in the room, you deserve to be treated as humans first and athletes second. And the higher up you get in sport, usually the athlete first, you have to perform, you have to be treated this way, you have to win at all costs. That can sort of override the baby shower. All right. So remember that tonight, that even at the highest levels of sport in our country, and I have been with your national team and watched them have a good time at events, at the heart of everything that you do is you are a human being. You deserve to be respected. You deserve to enjoy what you're doing every day. And the heart of what matters is the human. So Andrea and I both are very, very intentional about the pyramid of harm. And we educated on it a bit different, which I love, because the way she educates on it is more of a cultural equity, diversity, and inclusion lens. When I learned the pyramid of harm, what came up right away for me was how the sports system and how sport can actually lead athletes up this pyramid. So let me break it down to you really quickly. And we're gonna be maybe you're doing great. I think we have probably less than 10 minutes, everyone. Okay. So just hang in there. We're almost there. But why this is important for you is when you think of sport and you think of your sport, I want you to think specifically about what are the little things that people get away with. Because basically, what this pyramid of harm is showing is that when little things that we might think are funny, or they're just jokes, or they're just pranks, or they're just chirping, or we're kind of, you know what I mean. When that happens and it's not stopped, when we don't acknowledge things early and say, this doesn't feel good. I'm not being treated the way that I would like to be, or I'm treating someone a way that I would not like to be treated. So I'm going to say that again. Acknowledging sometimes that you might treat someone the way that you wouldn't want to be treated. All I'm asking you for again is a deep breath in, a deep breath out, and say, I think we're going to stop this and hold each other accountable. Because as you see here, it can get really bad really quickly. And I have seen in many sports, and I will call out hockey, even though my boys play, the foundational culture of the sport of hockey is one of the most challenging that I see in the entire country, and I work with most sports. It is largely rooted in some bad things and some toxic things. So it's very easy in that sport of hockey to climb this pyramid. I do not see huge challenges like hockey in the foundational culture of artistic swimming. However, every sport has an opportunity. Oh, pardon the text here, but you can read that. You got it. So Why do I bring up hazing? You're probably like, well, Allison just flashed to hazing. That's kind of weird. So there's 9 forms of maltreatment that we focus on when it comes to your psychological safety. I'm going to rattle them off because I know them very quickly. They are sexual abuse, physical abuse, psychological abuse, harassment, discrimination. I might forget a couple. Body shaming. And so I'm going to stop there and just let you know that hazing is one of them and bullying is the other one. Now, hazing is a huge problem in sport. You may not know what hazing is. It's written there on your screen, but the way I like to explain it to athletes, no athlete should ever be forced or coerced, which means manipulated into a ritualistic tradition or initiation where they aren't comfortable doing it. As you see on your screen, although it's bad copy, and I'll change that it starts with pranks and it elevates, like you saw in the pyramid of harm, to criminal activity. So I want you to think about your club. Your coaches will receive the same information. I want you to think about school. I want you to think about other sports you participate in. And absolutely never should you have a tradition or a ritualistic initiation where an athlete feels uncomfortable and unsafe participating in order to fit in with a group. When I do this work at major universities across Canada, I explain it pretty simply. When a new person comes into a team, I asked 900 student athletes this at the University of Ottawa. I said, tell me why. When a new person comes onto your team who's a freshman in university, then they come into the rugby team as a hypothetical example, why do you feel like you should treat them poorly? And the number one thing that's said to me around hazing and including that day was, well, because it happened to me. The big problem we have in sport is the repetition of harm because we were harmed. So if you have ever had an experience with bullying, if you've ever had an experience where you felt like you had to go through a ritualistic initiation in order to fit in, whether that was here or elsewhere, I am so sorry that happened to you. But I ask you again to pause and to know that the right thing to do when a new person comes into our club, when a new athlete enters our system, is to mentor them. Because one day you were new as well. And on that day, you probably felt uncomfortable, nervous, and the last thing you would have wanted was for someone to treat you badly when you were new. This is complicated, but I'm going to break it down. So in safe sport, I want you to understand that, as I've shared before, there's a normalization of maltreatment. These are the things that we will say, well, Allison, that's just artistic swimming. That's just hockey. Running an athlete up and down the field till they throw up. Well, that's just what it takes to win football games. Not accurate, and it's actually maltreatment. That's the normalization of maltreatment. Now, what happened to me, and I'm going to explain this the best I can based on ages we may have here, is I was sexually abused in sport by a predator. Now, what that means is somebody came into my organization, targeted me and multiple teammates of mine, intending to do bad things. It's different, and that's what this slide is about. So when I started in safe sport, I was all about trying to prevent what happened to me from happening to other athletes. And in the 7 years that I've been working in the space, that is true. And I'm trying every day to do that, of course, but I've also learned all about the other parts. So they are different. But when it comes to this, I want to speak to you directly as an athlete about how I felt. Okay? Never should you feel like you have to do something, or that your coach is making you feel like you have to act a certain way or say a certain thing in order to get attention from them. I'm going to break that down further. It's under stage 1 of favoritism. If someone is trying to harm you, they are going to start by picking you out of the crowd and spending more time and attention on you. And the other side of that is, as an athlete, you may feel like you have to do things in order to get that attention. The job of your coach, your trusted authority figure, is to provide equitable treatment and maintain professional boundaries with all of you. Because the next stage after favoritism, and I'm honest, as you will always find me to be, as an athlete that was groomed, how it may feel in the favoritism stage is that you may feel special, cared for, like you're the it athlete, like you will have more opportunities in the pool to make different teams or to perform at certain competitions because you're the coach's favorite. That feeling might feel in the moment good, but I want to remind you, pardon me, that it's not good because coaches they need to treat all athletes equally. I need water here, and maintain their professional boundaries. Okay. Personal bond. The next stage. Never should a coach or a person of authority be following you on your social media channels and asking you personal questions about your life. I want to make it really real for you, and I will make it really real for your coaches. If your coach is talking to you about your personal life and asking you a lot of questions through social media, it does not mean that they're a bad person. It does mean that they've crossed a boundary. Their role is to support you as an athlete. Their role is to not ask insistent questions about your personal life. Stage 3, isolation. This is a withdrawal. This is a stage where you may feel like you don't want to hang out with your teammates anymore. Or the person doing bad things, pardon me. The person doing bad things may tell you that your teammates don't like you. Those kind of things may indicate that you are in a bad situation. I want you to be incredibly mindful of your social media. I deal with way too many, and I'll be honest, death threats through Snapchat, sending around of sexually explicit material and photos, and other really inappropriate things that are happening online. So you've read this, but what you say online matters. As I'm learning today, what is posted online matters. And I would never want to see any of you get in trouble for making mistakes that you didn't intend to make online. So the last thing I'll share is this. Let's get to work. The reality here, and I'm going to ask if there's any questions, or I'll let Steve or Jessica close us out. But you know me now. I'm Allison. I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here for every athlete in our country. And through my experiences of working in safe sport and with Inclusion Incorporated, working on this program, from the bottom of my heart, I request that you and your parents take it seriously. I request that you take even 20% of what I said and think about it, because I have countless athletes in this country that will come back to me a year later and say, this happened in my club and I thought of your face immediately. When it comes to harm done to an athlete, or maybe your athlete or a different athlete, why we created Ripples to Resolution is because what we are seeing in the safe sports system right now is a very quick jump to formal complaint. By no means am I saying that if an athlete is harmed and a caregiver or the athlete themselves, if they're the age of majority or in alignment with their parents, want to file a formal complaint, that avenue is absolutely available. But in all honesty, what we are seeing is not only the elevation of harm, where we need to stop it earlier, but also there are many things that can be dealt with through that Ripples to Resolution tool, through conflict management, through the proper conversations, and getting the result within the system. Now, it's difficult for me to say that because I was the number one advocate in this country for independent complaint management, and I still fiercely believe in that because my abuse was directly covered up. What I would say, though, that there will always be, and we need to respect, experts' thresholds on what, as an example, relevant constitutes bullying. And when we think, as I think, with my kids, if they have been harmed, I just want you to understand that there's other ways that can be solved not just a formal complaint. Now, I don't know how each of your club operates, but I know from our level at the national level, we are very dedicated to ensure that any issue that comes up from parents is dealt with ethically and properly, whether that's a concern that dips into the conflict management tool that we developed, or that's a formal complaint that is ultimately dealt with ethically and ultimately independently. But again, without knowing exactly the threshold, I just want to share that you go to your club if you feel safe to do so. By that, I mean, if you know that it will be treated properly, if you feel confident as we're working with all of your clubs to make sure that they're dealing with things ethically and in a confident, documented way. If you don't feel safe to go to your club for whatever reason, you might know them, you might not feel safe there, then absolutely you can contact or work with independent third parties